Hey everyone. I knew there was a Ubuntu port for Nexus 7 for quite some time now, but from the videos I saw about it I always got the impression that it's not working very well and it isn't very useful. But actually that's not the case. I have been using it for 2 weeks now and I found it very useful and it works just fine. Actually for the past 2 weeks I'm using it more than Android. So the purpose of this video is to show you how well it's running and what's working and what isn't. And just keep in mind that this isn't a tutorial. So I did provide some links in the description, and also I will write some tips. But basically you have to figure it out for yourself. It's nothing hard, and if it seems hard to you, then you probably shouldn't do it. So I'm using with this setup Bluetooth keyboard and Bluetooth mouse, very simple. And so I'm just gonna reboot the machine and focus the camera on the screen. So as you can see, I'm using dual boot, because while I enjoy Ubuntu, or Xubuntu in my case, I actually am not ready to give up Android yet. So this is very simple to use. There is a link how to get it in the description, and you can boot your internal ROMs. I have here just Android. This is the internal and Xubuntu. Also you can boot from USB port, and there are some other options for rebooting and shutting down. So I'm just gonna boot Ubuntu, and it's gonna take a while. It takes maybe 15 seconds. Okay, so I'm booted. Just wait for the mouse to kick. It's there. Okay. So obviously I only use this if I have mouse and keyboard, because if I want to use touch, it's better to just boot Android, and this obviously isn't touch-friendly interface. And as you can see, I'm using Xfce graphic interface. It's just my interface of choice. I'm using Ubuntu on my PC too, so I'm used to it. But I installed the image provided by Canonical, so the original Ubuntu with Unity, and I just installed Ubuntu on top of it, and then removed Unity. Now Xubuntu is actually more lightweight and faster than Ubuntu, but actually that's not the case here. Unity just works just fine. That's because when you do a clean install of Xubuntu, it's obviously much different than when you just install Xfce on top of Unity and remove it. So actually I have no performance issues, but when it comes to speed, it's basically just your preference. So I'm just playing and running something in background for you to see how fast it's running. As you can see, it's pretty damn fast. So what works and what doesn't? NFC doesn't work, it's kind of expected. And automatic brightness doesn't work. I have this little applet here to change the brightness. So that's not a big problem for me. And that's pretty much it actually. Everything else works just fine. You can also plug in a USB hardware with USB reduction. You can use printers and flash drives, and even connect your phone there, because this is based on Ubuntu 13, so it does support media transfer protocol, which most phones use. Also, for some reason, when I boot it up, the sound is always muted, so I just have to unmute it. It doesn't matter. I think it's maybe possible to solve it. I just don't care. So let's test some performance. There is a GIMP pre-installed, so let's see how well some image editing goes. I'm gonna try to do some more demanding things. Okay, I just had the toolbox closed, so I had to find it. But I'm just gonna load the background image. So I think it's in pictures. Yeah, this is the one. It's a pretty big image. I don't know if you can read it, but this is 2560 by 1440. So let's try to do something. So I'm just gonna select the color with a threshold. I see it's selected pretty damn fast. Keep in mind that this resolution is very high, and I'm gonna make gradient in the selected area. So this is very fast. Actually, it's pretty much the same speed as on the computer. So let's try something else. Maybe some perspective change. This is pretty laggy, but still it's pretty high demanding task. That takes much longer, but still you have a full-blown graphics editor just in your tablet, which is great. So what other software I use with this is obviously LibreOffice. So that also works just fine. It's actually pretty damn fast, and for document editing, I minimized it. It's the best thing you can have. I also tested it with printers. I just plug in printer with USB and it works very well. Also, I managed to get Flash running. I don't know if you guys know, but there isn't any official Adobe Flash player for ARM Linux, but you can get it working with Chromium. I will post a link on how to do it. So I'm just gonna load a page from history with Flash content, pretty high demanding Flash content, and just show you how it's working. It's gonna load for some time. And as you see, use settings, so click to play Flash player, because when everything with every Flash feature of the web page is running, it's actually impacts the performance.
Race the fastest cars on PlayHub.
Yeah, fuck PlayHub. This is 3D Flash-based game, so it should be pretty demanding. So let's see it. By the way, I actually don't play this. I just googled something randomly, and this is the first which came up. It's annoying music. Next.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
As you can see, it's working very well. It's not lagging, and Flash player works great. Well, so that's Flash. Also, as far as videos go, of course they work too, but you shouldn't use HD videos. Like when I use the Flash player in YouTube, because it's actually faster in this than the HTML5 video. Then 360, maybe 480 pixels, it's alright, but HD videos, they are a little laggy, so don't use these. Well, as far as installing another software goes, it's just fine. You just have your Ubuntu Software Center, which by the way is the slowest application of basically everything in the system. Actually, everything works pretty fast. I mean, you can see it's, but Ubuntu Software Center, that's like horribly slow. It's okay once it boots up, but the booting time is horrible. I mean, you can see it. And also I use, by the way, this Mozilla Thunderbird and some Messenger. So, you know, these things. But as far as you know, compatibility with applications, most utilities and this kind of stuff works fine, but for games they generally don't work. I mean, I installed like maybe 6 or 7 games out of the software center, and out of them 2 worked, and these were both very simple. This yeah, kind of weird Tetris clone, and this thing. It's some kind of a volleyball, but definitely no demanding 3D games. They are just not compiled for this type of machine, I guess. So for gaming, you can either use Flash. So there are plenty of Flash games in this you know, out there, and also there are emulators. So I can use DOSBox, and it works very fine. Basically works just fine. So I'm just gonna boot Wolfenstein, and that's my go-to game if I want to show something, because it's fast and I have never any problems with it. You can also use Qemu emulator. I don't know if you are familiar with it, but if you aren't, just Google it. And actually I have Windows 95 image, and I play Age of Empires there and that kind of stuff. It works pretty damn well too, but I'm gonna make another video on that, so you can subscribe or just check my account. Check this account, I have more accounts, and maybe I will post it in like next week or something. So the last thing I could show you, it's RAM, how much RAM it takes, and that's something pretty weird. I don't know if you can see this, but right now this is 310 megabytes, and the rest is free. I mean, as you know, it's 1 gigabyte RAM for Nexus 7. And the weirdest thing is, when I boot it up, actually the memory is about 500. It takes about 500 megabytes of RAM. But if I, you know, use it for a while and then quit everything, I got to as low as 200 megabytes. So it's weird that it's actually, it takes most memory just after boot. Also, it by default there is a swap partition installed with almost half gigabyte. And basically I just made the system just like my desktop and it works. Also there's one bug. I don't know if this is a bug actually, but CPU scaling. For some reason, when I load a different kernel which supports overclocking, which have different frequency steps, it always shows these same frequency steps from the default kernel. I don't know why, but I guess it's just somehow built into the Ubuntu. Also, when I was talking about what doesn't work, I didn't mention that the screen doesn't rotate. So the accelerometer doesn't work, but actually this is only case with Ubuntu, with Xfce, because with Unity it works just fine. But I have one problem with this. That is that when I first booted it up, it was rotated. It was horizontal. So there was no problem there. I just went to the to the settings and just rotated the display. I don't know if you can see its rotation right here. But then when I try to use touchscreen, the axes are swapped, and I haven't found a way to fix this. I mean, as you can see, when I'm moving horizontally, it moves vertical, and and the other way around. And actually, I tried to fix it, many times, and it just doesn't work. I mean, I tried to fix fdef rules, but no matter what I said, if I set axis swap 0 or whatever, nothing changes. It will always work the same. So if you have any tips, please help me with this. But it's not a big deal because, as I said in the beginning, when I want to use touch, I'm just gonna use Android, and this is obviously a mouse-friendly interface, so I don't have any reason to use touch. But if you want to use touch, I might also show you the onboard keyboard. This is same in Unity, and this is how it looks. And there are some helps for using mouse, like right-clicking and stuff like this. But it's horrible to use it in this way. So, of course, I recommend to use keyboard and mouse. I mean, that's the only way to use it. So, another bug, that's very little bug, is sometimes it has a little trouble redrawing. I don't know if you can see, maybe you can, but you get these little blue artifacts you can see on the search button right now. It doesn't redraw properly, but it's never any problem. It never really, covered any content. It's just on these buttons and also in this notification. So, I think it's pretty much everything I wanted to tell you, and decide for yourself if it's useful or if it isn't. Or just post some questions or comments or whatever, and bye.